their lives. And to help them be exceptional, we have to provide training and education. So some of the things that inspired moments, I talked a little bit about the research and really trying to understand what it was we were going to use in our materials. The Alzheimer's Association has been incredibly helpful, and I'm sure most of you guys are aware of the work that they do. When we were looking at research materials, we looked beyond the United States and found some incredible materials that came out of Canada and the UK as well. The Best Friends approach by David Troxel and Virginia Bell were significant influencers. The Eden Alternative by Dr. Bill Thomas. Of course, Teepa Snow's positive approach we leaned in heavy to because she does some incredible work. And she has a way of teaching people to do things that I've never been able to accomplish myself. So if you guys aren't familiar with her, you guys will be. And then, of course, validation in the work with Naomi Feil and our own experiences. So what I want to do is just take you through a module by module overview of moments. So moments comes to you in the form of a manual, and it looks like this in here. We only have one today, but everyone will be getting their own copy very soon. And what we've done is we've split it into 15 different modules, and I'm going to go through them with you guys. Now the goal is not to, in January, train everybody on all 15 modules and say, all right, guys, go out and make a difference. We're going to talk a little bit about the implementation process, and we're going to take a much more strategic approach than that. But just as an overview, and something that we'll do for the staff in January and then also for your new hires, I just want to provide you with an introduction to each of the different modules and what we cover in those modules. So we have our introduction module, and that is where we talk about moments, the program goals. We go quite a bit deeper into philosophies and beliefs than what I just went through with you. We talk about the inspiration for moments, and we go a little bit deeper into kind of what the cornerstones of some of those organizations and people are. We give a brief overview of each module, and then we provide a light orientation to caregiver wellness, life story, and communication. 3 areas that I think are 100% necessary before we send people out to start caring for people that have dementia. So caregiver wellness. What we want to do is start off right away with our staff and letting them know, hey, this is a really, really hard job. And stress and burnout are really high for caregivers. And if you don't take care of yourself first, you're going to become stressed and burned out, and then you're not good to anyone. It's really hard to be present and empathetic and effective when you don't have anything more to give. And so what we want to do is help our employees understand that, identify what the symptoms of stress are, and then give them some real techniques that they can use to help alleviate that stress. We also want to talk about what happens when you don't deal with those little stressors and you begin to burn out, and what that looks like, how people get into a cycle of burnout, how we can help them break that cycle, and then just some other tools for basic wellness. In Life Story, we talk about how to create life storybooks, all the different areas that we can gather information about a resident and their life, how it promotes identity, different ways that we can use the life storybook, insight, it gives us insight into their preferences, needs, attempts to communicate, and behaviors. It's a great way to reminisce with someone while we're caring for them, as it eases awkwardness and helps them feel more comfortable with us. So what we'll do here is spend quite a bit of time talking about how do we get these life storybooks put together, how do we use them, and make sure that they're making a difference. And then we talk about human experience. And in this section, we cover our basic needs as human beings and what motivates us, the unique needs of people living with dementia, and understanding our own needs and the way our own unique personality and values develop according to our genetics and life experiences, and how that can help us understand and identify with the needs of our residents. In understanding dementia, we cover some of the basics of dementia, like dementia as an umbrella term, describing a group of symptoms. We look at all the different diseases that cause dementia, and we understand the difference between conditions that are reversible and that can be treated, and then those that cannot be. We look at the leading causes of those irreversible dementias. We take an in-depth look at Alzheimer's disease. We learn about the progression or stages of dementia. And then we spend a little bit of time understanding the difference between delirium and dementia so that we can identify when we need to get help for somebody. In communication, of course, we cover the basics of communication, common barriers, how to communicate with people living with dementia, communication techniques for approaching someone who's distressed, and how to interpret nonverbal cues and other attempts to communicate. In environment, which I think is going to be one of the one of the funner modules for you guys to go through and learn about, because there is a lot of really new, innovative stuff in that module that maybe you haven't heard about or considered before, and a lot of different things that you can do in your memory care communities to help improve the environment. But we're going to talk about or learn about creating a therapeutic, calm, and predictable environment for people living with dementia, ways that we can help maximize awareness and orientation, how we can provide appropriate stimulation, including opportunities for spontaneity, ensure comfort, and support the functions of our residents, accommodate behavioral changes, maximize abilities, promote safety, and encourage independence. We have a small module on routine where we talk about the importance of getting into a rhythm, how people are afraid of the unknown, and especially people that have dementia that are having a hard time knowing what's going on and what's going to happen next, how if we can get them into a routine or a rhythm, it eases that, because where they might not know cognitively, they might know subconsciously. In dining services, we talk about how to create an enjoyable, familiar, and home-like dining experience, which in memory care is much different than in assisted living. Providing assistance and meal options, such as handheld foods to help residents maintain their independence. How many of you guys are using handheld foods right now? A few of you. What if I called it finger foods? Some of you guys might know it as finger foods, but I think handheld foods is a much more dignifying way to describe food that's prepared in a way that somebody who maybe likes to stay on the move or who's lost the ability to utilize utensils can continue feeding themselves. We want to ensure that their nutritional needs are met, and that of course we're preparing and serving food according to Marvelous Meals guidelines. We have a module on activities and pastimes where we're going to talk about what are activities and how do they contribute to our self-esteem. We're going to learn how to build an activity program around the unique personalities, interests, and hobbies of our residents. We're going to learn how to make activities meaningful, incorporate activities that can be done independently into the environment, and take advantage of all the resources around us and successfully execute those activities. In personal care, we'll learn how to anticipate needs, prepare before providing tasks, the correct approach to take, how to assist, tips for helping people who commonly refuse assistance, and what do we do when the task isn't going so well. In health and wellness, we focus on monitoring and catching those changes in condition. Medications, we spend quite a bit of time understanding medications and the different categories of medications. So we have medications to treat Alzheimer's disease and other dementias, and then we have medications to treat the behavioral manifestations of dementia, which tend to be the antipsychotic medications that we're trying to get away from. We really want to make sure that we're helping people, our caregivers, understand why it is such a bad idea to use those kind of medications. because if they understand what those medications do, I think we can really help inspire them to take a different approach, to communicate differently, to manage the environment, to do things that will help keep people off of those. Then we spend a lot of time on behaviors and really understanding some of the common behaviors that people with dementia have and what they mean, how to understand and interpret them, recognizing that most behavior is a form of communication. They're trying to let us know what their needs are, what their desires are, but they're no longer able to. Sometimes it's different than that. Sometimes there are triggers that really upset them. And we want to help our caregivers really get to understand how it works and how each person is unique and how we can begin to understand that person as an individual and share it with our other caregivers so that we can create an individualized approach. And then we end with caring for families. We recognize, we call people who have a diagnosis of a disease that causes dementia, we say that they're someone living with dementia, but they're not the only person living with dementia. Their whole family is living with dementia. And when we're moving them into our communities, sometimes we think that that's our job, is just to care for them. And what we forget is that our job is to care for their entire family. And how to do that can be really tough. But when we don't do that, when we fail to care for the entire family, we end up with a lot of upset family members, a lot of complaints, a lot of misplaced anger. And so we really want to learn how to educate and support and be there for them as well. So Moments is more than a training program. It's a way of life. It's our operations, the services we provide, the way we make a difference, and how we live out our mission, values, and vision. There's 4 components to Moments. There's our program manual that you guys will all be getting a copy of, but then there's also training materials that go with it. So these are slides, handouts, quizzes, training activities. We have implementation tools. So these are tools that help you take that information and really integrate it into your programming. And then there's a component of evaluation and evolution. As we go through this next year of implementing Moments into our programming, we have to constantly evaluate and say, okay, did it work the way we thought it would? How was it received? What could we have done better? And we have to continually evolve and adapt our materials. And we'll be doing that collaboratively. So we want to get the word out. We have an exciting new memory care program. And something that I would say has been true of Ridgeline for years is that we do amazing things at our communities. We have incredible programming. This is going to be one of them. And we don't do a good job getting the word out. We don't let people know about it. I can't tell you how many times I've been in conferences where they're announcing awards for innovative companies or giving out awards to caregivers and other exceptional people. And I watch them present the winner, and I think, whoa, we're doing that. Why aren't we getting recognized for that? We have caregivers that should be winning National Caregiver Awards at Argentum and some of the national conferences or at the state conferences. We have incredible programs and things that we do every single day that make a huge difference. Our mission, vision, and values and the way we approach things alone is huge. So how do we help the world find out about it? How do we get recognized? How do we get other people involved? And so as we implement this next year, a great deal of effort is going to be communicating that to the world. And there are 3 areas that we really want to focus. One is internally. We need to really make sure that we help our staff know what's going on and get them involved and help them believe what we believe and inspire their passion and creativity to join us on this mission. We need to get the family members involved. We need to get our other residents involved in our communities in assisted living and let them know what's going on. We also need to get our local communities. We need to let them know what's going on. And then, of course, we want to let the world know. We want the United States of America to know that Ridgeline is doing something better and different than everybody else. And not that we're just doing it, not that we came up with a new program, but that what we're doing actually works and we can prove it. And so these are some of the ideas that we came up with to help promote moments in your communities and nationally. And then I'm sure you guys are going to have some ideas as well, but we're really going to be supporting you in promoting this so that you're not on your own. But we can't do it without you, right? So we really need to get everybody involved. We're going to kick this off with some Train the Trainer events. And so in October and November, we haven't got the date set yet. We're working that out with the regionals. There will be a regional Train the Trainer event. The West region will hold at Waverly Place, our new community in Albany, Oregon, which will be so exciting to bring everybody up to see that new property. And it will probably be the last training event, so it should be on this side because we want to make sure that we get that building open first and that we actually have a place to meet. We'll have one in the central region at Garden Square Westlake, and then in the Midwest region at Tanglewood Trace. And these will take place in October and November. And what we'll do is we'll be really spending some time. This is an event for the administrator, your memory care coordinator, and if you have somebody who handles the training, they can come as well. And it's for all communities, not just people who have memory care, because let's face it, half of our assisted living residents have dementia, right? Have some form or another, and they all need this training and support. So we're going to dive into the manual and look at some of the different philosophies and beliefs that it contains. We're going to look at the training materials and work together to come up with a plan that makes sense for your community that you're going to take back and then train your staff on. And I recognize that everybody has their own unique ways of teaching. This is something that really I recognized when we did Welcome Home, and Welcome Home was really well done, and there was an incredible script for you to follow and a workbook. And I remember when I got into it going, read from a script? I don't know how to read from a script. I know how to talk from my heart. That's my style. And so I had said, I'm not going to write a script for somebody to use. And then somebody spoke up and said, hey, wait, I would love a script. That really helps me, right? We all have different ways that we can utilize materials and connect with our staff. And that's what I hope to explore and really make sure we're providing you all the tools that you'll need to be successful at these events. The next thing that we're going to do in January is really focus on measuring our starting point. And then we'll measure our starting point again in July and in January of next year, because we want to know, is our programming successful? And so I've spent quite a bit of time over the last week or so really thinking about how will we know it's successful? What are things we can do, or what can we measure? And so I identified 4 areas that we can measure: resident well-being, family well-being, employee well-being, and environment. And so I'll be working with you guys to create some tools such as surveys and like just observation tools, checklists, to really help gauge where we are January 1st, so that we have an honest starting point. And some of that will require some support from you guys, like gathering use of medications. We want to look at how many residents take PRN, antipsychotic medications, and how many medications a day do we give out. Good starting point, right? That's something that we can look at next year and say, okay, hopefully we see a trending downward. We can look at altercations and harmful behaviors through incident reports. We can observe. With family members, we can send out a survey and ask them about how they feel about the support and the care that they receive as family members and that they see their loved ones receiving. Different than a satisfaction survey, but more of a how are we doing at our goals associated with moments survey. And this will be in partnership with really promoting moments and what we're hoping to do, so they'll understand, hey, this is a starting point. We can look at our visitation and involvement from family members. One of our goals is to get families more involved in visiting our communities more often. We can look at move-outs due to dissatisfaction. And with employee well-being, of course, we can survey them as well, which we'll do, but we can also measure attendance and turnover, their health, and we can observe their level of engagement. And of course, with the environment, it's pretty much observation. We'll be working out an environment checklist. So our monthly focus. The way we'll be rolling out moments is we start with the Train the Trainer event, and then every month, January through December of next year, we've broken it down into 12 monthly focuses. And what that means is I will be sending out a monthly focus message that just reminds you, hey, this month our focus is on caregiver wellness. And I'll share a little bit of information out of the manual and some tools, and it'll be things that we're just reminding you of that we already talked about at Train the Trainer. Then we'll have a kickoff hangout by region where we can talk about what are we going to do that month in memory care and what is it going to take. From there, we'll begin our internal promotion. We want to let the staff know what our focus is and the family members know what our focus is. Then we'll provide our training for staff. We'll implement the different procedures or tools or techniques or whatever it is that is going to be required to help us be successful in that monthly focus. I'll be gathering evaluation and feedback from you, and then we're hoping that we can get your staff to share their moments. Share the moments that they experience through implementing our program that really make a difference. And then we're going to take that and we're going to do some external promotion through a blog, social media, and different things like that. So I think I just went through that. Skip right through. Oh, I didn't do that, did I? Oh my goodness. See how cool that was? That was just for your entertainment. So January, an introduction. That will be our main focus, is just to get the word out and start measuring. In February, we'll focus on caregiver wellness. Our monthly focus for March is life story. And this will be a time that we really focus on getting those life storybooks put together. In April, it's on human experience. May, we'll focus on understanding dementia. June is about communication. July, we're going to cover both environment and routine. August will be dining services. September will be about activities and pastimes. October is personal care and health and wellness. November, we'll focus on behaviors and medications. And then in December, our focus will be caring for families. So I want to talk about an idea that we have to really get our staff to start sharing their special moments. And it's called our Share Your Moment campaign, and this is how it works. You integrate moments into your programming and practices. So whatever our monthly focus is, you'll be really focusing on implementing it and making sure that we're living by those ideals. They're going to experience undoubtedly special moments with residents through this process. We're going to ask them to capture their moment or somebody else's, either by taking a picture or telling a story. Share it with us. So they'll submit their special moment, and it can be a story or a photo. It could also be a voice recording, however they want to share it with us. And we're going to make it really easy. Most of our staff are now carrying iPods. They'll be able to share their moment through their iPod. So they can take a picture and they can submit it directly and it will come to me. And here's the fun part, is if we choose to use that moment that they're sharing with us, or that picture, given that we have proper releases in our blog and any of our promotional materials, in the next edition of Moments, that employee gets $100 to spend to improve their memory care or enhance their memory care programming. So that's kind of fun, don't you guys think? I'm really, really excited about that. And our Moments program, you'll go through it, and I spend a lot of time looking through stock photos. Do you guys know how exciting stock photos are? Oh my gosh. And do you know how expensive they are? Oh, ridiculous. I guarantee you the moments that we're experiencing across our company are so much better than those stock photos. And the stories that we can tell of the difference we make, although Lonnie and Chuck did an incredible job with Madeline's song, they're going to blow it out of the water. And that is what we will incorporate into our second edition. So here's our overview. We start with the announcement this month, and we'll get press releases out. October will be about getting the word out with our posters and our flyers and social media and getting people excited about it. We need you guys to really help us get your staff excited about it. We have our Train the Trainer event. We'll do our measurements and our monthly focuses. And then we will come back in 2019 and we'll look at all the different feedback, everything we've gathered, and we'll begin work on the second edition. So I want to come back to evolution. Just as our first edition was a collaborative process, so will subsequent editions be. This is about really working together as a team, each and every one of us in this room, our memory care coordinators, and our staff, to figure out how we can accomplish the ideals of moments and put it into writing and tools and materials and policies and procedures so that we can make that a consistent practice across our company. And it can't be done by one person. It has to be done by all of us.